Okay, so this is a video tutorial on how to create the custom enclosure for the MIDI mixer. So at this point, you should be in MakerCase and have already kind of put in all of these values to create this wonderful box right here. So we're going to go over to Download Box Plans. We're going to disable the panel labels. We don't want those. So again, they're just going to get in our way. So we'll disable those, and we're going to download the SVG. Okay, so we can see that downloads. And then I'm going to open up Inkscape. And I'm going to go open up that file. And we see that it is opened up here. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to kind of think about how we're going to modify this to be able to accommodate the buttons and the USB and all the wonderful things that we're going to be adding to our enclosure. And so the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a simple box. I'm going to kind of come here and choose kind of a medium gray. And I'm going to draw a box here of any size, and I'm going to select it. And I want to get rid of this this stroke around it. It's got kind of this black outline around it. That's going to mess up my dimensions a little bit. So I'm going to right-click over here on the X and hit Set Stroke, and that gets rid of that. And for anything where we're trying to be very precise about the placement or the size of it, you want to get rid of the stroke because it just kind of complicates the overall size. So I'm going to set the width of this to 100 and the height of this to 100, and that's because this rectangle is going to represent one of our printed circuit boards that we're going to be modeling. Now that being said, we actually have two circuit boards, and so I'm going to model both of those. I'm going to come up over to Object, and I'm going to come down to Align and Distribute, and that'll open up this menu right here. I'm going to select the Grid option, and I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste one of these, just kind of floating out here. I want to space these to very close with each other. And so I'm going to hold down Shift and select both of them. And I'm going to say that I want one row by two columns. And for this, I want them to be 10 millimeters apart. 10 millimeters apart. And click Arrange. And you can see it kind of automatically snaps them in just the right arrangement for me. And that's good. So these are kind of going to be our two printed circuit boards. The very next thing that I'm going to model is the opening for our mixer. So it's going to have a 10 millimeter circle. So I'm going to click Circle. I'm going to choose kind of a darker gray. Actually, we'll just go full black. And I'm just going to kind of drag out, again, just a random circle and come up over here and adjust its width and height to 10 by 10 millimeters. And I want that to be kind of centered in here. So I'm going to come over to Align, and I want to select my rectangle first, then hold down Shift and select my circle, and I can come in here and hit this vertical alignment, and then the horizontal alignment. And that puts our opening for our analog mixer right in the middle. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another circle over here. Again, just kind of dragging it out randomly. And I'm going to set the width and height of these to 30 millimeters a piece. And these are going to represent the openings that we're going to make for the buttons in our enclosure. And in total, we have 9 buttons. So I'm just copying and pasting 9 of these. And notice that I've not been particularly careful about just how I've copy and pasted these. Other than that, they're just in the 3x3 grid. But we're going to let our grid tool do that work for us. So I'm going to highlight all 9 of these. I'm going to go over to Grid, and I'm going to say I want 3 rows and 3 columns. And in this particular case, I want the spacing to be 4 millimeters in both the X and 4 millimeters in the Y. And if I click Arrange, suddenly you'll notice they kind of snap right to the correct arrangement. Now at this point, I would really love for those to be centered inside this box over here. To do that, I'm going to go over to Object and click Group. And then I'm going to select off of it, select this rectangle, select my group of circles, come back over to Align, and then align along vertical and horizontal axis. And so there, now we can see that we've got a nice arrangement of all of our components that are going to be in the faceplate. Now, I'd love to get it centered over in here. To do that, I'm going to highlight the whole group one more time. I'm going to hit Group. I'm going to select off of it, And here you can see that this whole kind of thing that came over from MakerCase is being treated as one whole group. So with it selected, I'm going to go to Object, Ungroup, and now we can see that we've got individual plates that we can choose. So I'm going to select this top plate here. I'm going to hold down Shift, select this plate here, and now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to center them up. Incidentally, if you've had trouble with this, you may double check to make sure that when you are choosing your align and distribute options that this relative is set to first selected. That can sometimes cause issues if it's kind of something else. So double check that option if you've had issues. Okay, now when I go to cut this, I actually don't want to cut these rectangles out. I just want these circles cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Object. I'm going to ungroup these so that I can come in and select and delete that out and delete that out. So now this is actually what is going to get cut. So we've got openings for our buttons. We've got opening for our analog scroll wheel. The next thing that I need to be thoughtful about is thinking about the opening for the USB connector. And so I'm going to come over here to our Easy EDA. So I'm going to pull that up real quick. And we're going to be kind of thinking about where that Easy EDA connector is with respect to our design. Now this is going to be different for everyone's. So I'm going to go ahead and load up. Mine right here. And you can kind of see that I'm kind of relatively centered on this one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Export. I'm going to export this as a PNG. I'm going to turn off the top layer. I'm going to leave this top slope layer on and the board outline on. And I'm going to hit Export. Okay, that gives me a file that I can now go File, Import, and I'm going to go import that particular one. Oh, oops. Okay, so I've made a small mistake. Forgot that my USB is on the bottom layer of the board. So let's go back. Let's go to File, Export, PNG. I'm going to do bottom layer. Oh, not bottom layer, bottom silk layer. There we go. There we go. So now I've got those selected. If I export that, that should show where the USB connector is going to be. Good. I can see that there. Okay. And let's select these options here. Good. So now I can see that I've got this 100 by 100 board outline here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come up to Object, lower to bottom. And I know that this piece is going to be kind of relatively lined up. About this far. Okay. And so in this particular instance, I need to kind of think about how I'm going to carve out a particular section of this to accommodate for the USB. And so in this case, I'm going to take a black rectangle and I'm going to take out this chunk right here. Okay, right about there. And so I'm going to go ahead and drop the fill in this particular case and right click back and hit set stroke. And so I'm going to delete this now. And so when we go and actually cut this file, it's going to cut out this rectangle here. We'll need to double check this, so we'll cut this in foam core first and then kind of make sure that that is in fact aligned with where we expect it to be. But that should be an approximate area for the USB and gives us plenty of wiggle room to be able to plug in our MIDI mixer. So at this point then, we are ready to go and cut this on the laser cutter. When you do, a couple things to keep in mind. So this is probably not the most efficient use of the acrylic. And so I'm going to come over here, I'm going to select these, go to Object and Group. And I'm just going to go ahead and rotate them 90 degrees. I'm going to group them over here like this. I'm going to rotate this guy 90 degrees. Bring it up like this. And this, rotate 90 degrees. Let's see if I can kind of sneak that one in. So I don't want them to be touching each other, but I would like for them to be close. I'm going to bring this guy out just a bit. Sneak this one in here. Good, okay. So that's a much more efficient use of our material. I'm going to go ahead and save this as, we call this MIDI Enclosure. And so that's our SVG. And so I'm going to save that as a DXF14, making sure that none of these are selected, inches is our unit, and click OK. And that will give us our DXF file for the laser cutter. Now there is one more thing that we want to do, and that's that we're going to kind of use this same file for our enclosure. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this as our MIDI sticker, because we're going to be making a sticker out of this. I'm going to save it back as an SVG. Okay, and at this point then, I actually need to get rid of most of all of this stuff. So, because I'm just going to be focusing on this one area here. So, I'm going to come in here. And what I would love to do is add some cover art that I can use for making a sticker that's going to cover the entire faceplate. So for that, I'm going to come over to VectEasy. For me, I'm going to change it over to Images. I'm going to look for DJ. This should be in line with whatever your particular theme is. I'm going to click on Free Licenses. Okay. I like this pink DJ friend right here. So I'm going to click Download, Download. Hopefully this is a good resolution image. Okay, so it's downloaded. Come over here, we'll go File, Import. I'm going to import this file. Click OK. Ooh, very big image. That's great. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the image and kind of just move it down. And then I'm going to click the little block here because I don't want to screw up the proportions too much. I'm going to change it to 250 millimeters in width, actually maybe just a little bit bigger. So maybe about 270, 275. With it selected, I'm going to go to Object, lower bottom, and I can kind of see a very faint outline of our faceplate here. I'm going to make that a little bit more kind of noticeable. So I'm going to go to Objects, Fill and Stroke. I'm going to come over to Stroke Style, and I'm going to change this to 1 millimeter. Okay, so now I can see the outline a little bit better. And so I'm going to position this in such a way to where I kind of get my DJ friend hanging out here. Not a huge fan. Ooh, okay, I'm going to mirror it so it's a little bit better there. So I kind of have him working on the plates. Cool, okay. So that's going to be the start of my sticker. But I'd really like to constrain this image just to this outline here. So to do this, I'm going to select the outline of the board. I'm going to hold Shift and select the image, then right-click, and I'm going to click Set Clip. And so that's actually going to kind of clip that image just to where it is the shape of this. So when I print this out, I will be able to have this print out in the exact dimensions that I want. The next thing that I need to talk about is I'd love to have some labels kind of for my buttons to kind of help me remember what it is that each of them do. This is optional. You can kind of certainly call these whatever you want, but I'm just going to show these as an example. So I'm going to select the text tool here. I'm just going to click here, and the very first one I'm going to have is something called Deck 1. That is way, way, way too big. So I'm going to click up there, text and font. Let's choose a font that I like better. Again, you can choose any one that you would like. I'm going to choose Roboto Slab. I'm going to choose bold. I'm going to change my font size to like something a much more normal. So there's a deck one. And I kind of like it like all as one word, but you can definitely change this to your own liking. So, and then I'm going to highlight it and change it over to a nice white font. Good. And then I'm going to come in here, and I want to kind of center these, so I'm going to select this group of buttons and say Object Ungroup. Okay. Then I'm going to select this one, and then select my text. Come up over here to Align and Distribute, and click Vertical Axis Center, so now it's nice and centered. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste this one, and change it to Deck 2. And I'm going to select this, and align this with this one, and then I want to align it like that. And then I'm going to select this one, and select this, and then align it vertically. Okay. Ooh, do I like what that's called? No, I think I'm going to actually change this to load one. Because I'm going to have these be the ones that like load them into deck 1 and deck 2. Okay, cool. I'm going to copy this again. I'm going to change this one to our mix. This is what's going to let you kind of jump back and forth between kind of controlling the audio mixer or the selector. So again, I'm going to design that, click on here, then click this one, and align them in this direction. And click here, here, and align them in this direction. So it's pretty good. All right, I'm going to kind of come down here and do this again. Ooh, I'm getting some tight spacing in here. I'm going to change my font size here to the font size 12. Let's see if font size 12 works good. What else fit between those buttons? It's close. Go a little bit smaller. So yeah, I think 10 point is going to be better for me. Okay. Okay. So now I'm actually going to kind of wait on aligning these to the very end. So I'm going to call this Q1, and I'm going to have something called Q2. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make this play 1, and play 2. And I'm going to have this last one be called release 1. And release 2 for the different functions that we have. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this guy and these 3, and then align them vertically. Do that the same for here. So select this one first, then these 3 labels, align vertically. This one first, these 3 labels, and align vertically. And now what I can do is I can make sure that all of these guys, I'm going to select those 3, are aligned well. So these friends, and I'm just going to kind of nudge them into the right spot. So select all these, align this way, and then kind of nudge them into their spot. Balance these all out a little bit. Messy. Good. Okay. So now, at this point, I don't actually want these to get printed in this particular color. I'm actually going to make them white, but I don't want them to print in white either. But I'm going to change their opacity down here to kind of 10%, maybe 20%. So I kind of have a guide when I'm like loading these things up on my printer about kind of how roughly these should be placed. Last thing is we want to kind of change all this because this is not the size of our printer paper. So I'm going to go up to File, Document Properties. I'm going to come over to Format, US Letter. I want it to be vertical orientation, like that. And so I can close this panel down. And then I need to kind of change this so it will actually print on our page. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to go to Object, Group, and then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to place it right here on our wonderful sheet of paper, not too close to any one edge, and then I will be able to print this out on the sublimation printer. So I'm going to go ahead and File, Save, and then I want to save this as a PDF. So let's go to PDF frames. There we go. So MIDI sticker, PDF, and click Save. So now I have a PDF that I can send over to the sublimation printer and print. I will have to cut this out by hand. It's a little bit too big for our vinyl cutter to be able to cut, but that is okay. Ooh, one final thing that I forgot to do is I'm going to go to Object. Don't know what that did. Object, Ungroup, and I'm going to change this guy to be white and also change its opacity to be about 25. So again, still kind of noticeable, so I can use that for alignment, but not so noticeable that if it's slightly misaligned, that will cause any troubles. So I'm going to save that as a PDF again, and I am ready to go. And that's it.